সেমিনারের নাম হচ্ছে Global IT Outsourcing, a plan for developing IT industry in Bangladesh. আমি মডারেটর হিসেবে আছি এই সেমিনারে। আমার নাম হচ্ছে আহমেদ হোসেন খান। আমি আপনার জিওমলে currently working as a manager analysis and design and business intelligence in Seattle. I have more than 20 years experience in this field. So আমাদের এই প্যানেলে we have a speaker, keynote speaker, and we have some very highly skilled persons in the panel. So I hope we have a very strong presence in any kind of questions you might have in this field. We are able to answer hopefully. So to start this session, in the beginning, I welcome all of you again on behalf of ABC Convention, and I want to invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Saiful Khundukar, PhD and CEO of Free Inc. I invite him. Second, I want to invite Pat Shorter, Director Supply Chain at T-Mobile in Seattle. He is also Next, I want to invite SK Belal Hassan, e-governance expert, United Nations. Next, I want to invite Norukoni Chaudhary, Chief Technology Officer, San Data. He has also more than 25 years experience in this field. And finally, actually we invited John Bertoni, and he's not here, so we're trying to fill his position with CEO and Country Director, Marfia Jakir of Marfia Technology from Bangladesh. Really, I'm very happy to have this, the keynote speaker and a very strong panel member we have today. And I hope you guys have, answers of if you have specific questions in this field. So in the introduction, I am to just, make it very focused today because, I am in the US and I was involved in various seminars and discussions for the last 10 years. And we have a lot of discussions and proposals and talk almost every time we come. And finally, we don't see anything happen. So we as a panelists, we supported our keynote speaker. Let's start with only one thing, one priority stuff, and see whether if our country government supports it, and as a, from the private sector, if there's anyone interested to make it done, to make it happen, then I think the key point here. So instead of discussing all these problems, issues, opportunities and stuff, I think we'll touch very briefly on those, but the main focus, main touch point will be a proposal for Bangladesh. It can include the government participation and also private sector participation to be successful in this field. So very briefly, I think this slide is a very powerful slide in terms of data, which demonstrates the where we are and what we need to do in this case. Say, for example, the software export. If you see the first slide here, the software export revenue for 2008 and 9 for India is almost $60 billion. In Philippines, almost $1 billion. And if you compare Bangladesh software export revenue 2008 to 9 is $32 million. And I don't want to discuss a little more, what were the factors involved for a highly successful software export from India versus, Philippines and Bangladesh. I think we have a data for Sri Lanka as well. So Sri Lanka, I think I see based on the data, Rahul told me provided this morning, that around $150 to $200 million range for 2011. So this is really a very shocking news for Bangladesh. I know we cannot, compete with India, but at least what we need to do to compete with at least Philippines or Sri Lanka or some other neighboring countries, right? So this is the key point. So this gives you real effect, very strong fact where we are in terms of IT opportunities. There are plenty of opportunities in Bangladesh. I think Dr. Saiful Khutuka will highlight on that. But please keep in mind that this is the situation today we have. We have opportunities. We have partial support, I believe, from the government. We have resources, right? But still we are there. So what is a step that we need to do, or at least show the government and private sector that this is a proposal. If we jump on it, we might, move from at least this situation to at least $200 billion range. I think this should be a target right now. If we miss this target, to come up around $200–300 million target, then really we have to lose all these potential opportunities in the competition of the world. So by saying so, I really invite Dr. Saiful Khutuka to start the main keynote speaker presentations, and we have a panelist. They will support all the questions if we have. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for attending this seminar. Thank you, Mr. for introducing me. Thank you, the panelists, Mr. Dalal, Ash Dr. Chaudhary, Mafia. Thank you very much. Let me talk about the situation where we are in outsourcing today. I'm going to be speaking from here. So my focus of the presentation is going to be the total outsourcing market in the world. And who are the top players from various countries, including United States, India, China, other emerging countries. What Bangladesh has to offer in this global economy in IT. Why Bangladesh is losing. We are losing something. I'm going to tell you what we are losing. And what should we do? And I'm proposing a joint venture framework that I believe is going to help us achieve our goal for Bangladesh in IT. And I'm going to talk about the results of this framework, and then we can talk about the questions from the audience. My background, I'm a software engineer. I worked for 15 years for Fortune 500 companies, from Singapore Wireless, AT&T, Delta Airlines. And I started a software company in 1998 in Bangladesh. That didn't grow that much. But 2003, I founded a company in Georgia called MI3 Holdings. And 2010, I founded a company, FreeBPay, which is a mobile software product. We just launched in the US. And we are outsourcing in Bangladesh. We have about 30 people right now with one company. And another company is doing some work, 10 resources. So I have a lot of experience. I was doing outsourcing for quite some time, 8 years. Then I founded FreeBPay, which is an innovative product. And I know very much what's going on in Bangladesh. The top IT companies, I work with them directly. I was a speaker in BASIS, which is Bangladesh Association of Software Information Services, in 2002, and today is 2012. The goal BASIS has set in 2002 for $2 billion outsourcing for Bangladesh by 2006, and today is 2012. We're making, as Mr. Ahmed showed us, 30 million. That's pretty much really nothing compared to even a small company in India makes more than that. So what's lacking? That's what we're going to talk about. I want all of your thought process, and hopefully we can go somewhere to help our country. So the outsourcing market, as you can see, is $1.3 trillion globally. Globally, $1.3 trillion. What is outsourcing? Outsourcing is basically that the company doesn't want to do their IT work by themselves, and they give it to some other contractor company to do the work. Because Bank of America, it doesn't make sense. They are good at banking, they're not good in IT, so they may hire somebody that is good in IT. And a lot of that is happening in India because India has a lot of talents, a lot of people that can do this work, and they have taken the market, they're in the lead, and they're next to us, so we can follow their footsteps, and we can grow because we also have a lot of people, 160 million people in Bangladesh. So who are the top competitors? Top competitors: Wipro, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, Tata Consultancy, Accenture. The fascinating thing is, just 5 years ago, IBM, EDS, Capgemini, those are the guys who are the top in the pyramid in outsourcing. But just in 5 years, the smart companies from India, like Wipro, Infosys, they have taken the market. And now Wipro is all over the United States. I lived in Atlanta. I just saw in the last 5 years how they've grown. They're now advertising in the radio in the morning, in the TV. They are working with the local people in the local community in Georgia, and they have grown. Every state they have offices. 50 states they have offices. And they are marketing. They are working with the business community, the American Main Street business, helping them to do the IT. Infosys is another company, same thing. Infosys started with 5 people, with $80 in 1989. And now they are a $5 billion company. They're employing 120,000 people in India. Wipro also have 120,000, 125,000 people working for them. And these are the Tech Mahindra and Tata Consultancy, 5 top companies in India is employing majority of the human resources. And that's in India, 1.5 million people are working for outsourcing. Primarily US and some European clients. So what Bangladesh has? Well, we have good, we have bad, we have positive, we have negative, but I don't want to focus on the negative. If we talk about negative, think about negative, then it will be negative. We have to think positive, especially people in North America, the NRDs group. We have to come up with an initiative. We are the one who knows the stuff, how business is done in US. What is the standards? What's the quality? We know this stuff, so we have to take an initiative, and we need to transfer this initiative technologies to Bangladesh. There are people in Bangladesh trying to grow outsourcing, and there are success stories. It's happening by natural progression. There is no major initiative, but because of the natural flow, we have a lot of people. India is next to us, and emerging technology is growing in the mobile technology in Bangladesh. 7th largest mobile company is in Bangladesh. Grameenphone, they have 35 million customers. China Mobile is the number 1 mobile company, 140 million customers. Verizon here in the US has 80 million, then AT&T, and then T-Mobile. In that ranking, Grameenphone is 7th largest. They're doing operation 24/7. So when we talk about that Bangladesh don't have infrastructure, I say we do, because companies like Grameenphone keeps the light on 24/7. Companies like Bangladesh, companies like other cell phone companies, they're keeping the lights on. So, and English speaking is another advantage, and we need that. We are better than many other companies like Middle East, for example. Their language, their pronunciation is very, very hard. And Bangladesh, I would say it's okay. And even right now, in these days, I'm pretty optimistic. I see young folks, they're speaking very well. They're kind of fluently. I have 30 people working in Bangladesh. Almost all of them speak fluently. I have no problem bringing them in the conference call with my American colleagues here. A lot of our employees are American here, and we communicate with daily basis. And we're pretty well. They can speak well, communicate everything well. Infrastructure, I would say it's okay infrastructure. And to really, I cannot just say, well, we don't have any infrastructure, so I'm not going to do anything. No, you cannot do that because it's egg and chicken. You have to take what it is today and kind of take an initiative to create an industry that can create other value initiative. For example, case in point, when India data consultancy started in outsourcing in India, they could not buy a computer without the permission of the government. And look where we are today. We have tax-free, import-free, everything is government is trying to do. So we have to take a leverage of that. And government has, I told you this, tax initiatives, tax benefits they're providing, other ways, equity partnerships they're providing. So some of them are there, you have to, we have to take the initiative. So Bangladesh is losing. Bangladesh is losing, I would say, $2 billion a year. Because if I take the number, the math that was given in basis, there was a well-thought-out plan in 2002, but it didn't meet the goal because of the lacking of the marketing, sales, and operation in the client place. Client place is where? Client is in America, in the US. And we don't have anybody from Bangladesh, at most zero, that are talking to this client. They're telling us, hey, look, come here, we can do this for you. And at the same time, we really don't have the capabilities also, the big company capabilities in Bangladesh. Because for a company like AT&T, I took GE in 2009 as a plan to grow Bangladesh, outsourcing several thousand people. That was my plan. I took GE, I convinced them, they sold just my idea and depended on me. Says, we're kind of banking on you. And same thing we did when we went to India in 1990. We banked on somebody. We believed on somebody and we made it work, and now we are here. Now we have 40,000 people in India. So you seems like you are advocating this, blah, blah, blah. And I gave them the presentation. Yes, we can do it. We have 160 million people, positive, all these things. After working 2 years, they were agreed, and they went to Bangladesh. Marfia was there. She put together a team. We taken an office, and we signed a master agreement with GE. And I understand exactly what's there in their mind. They want to leverage the low-cost people. At the same time, they want reliability. They want the capacity. They want to keep the light on. They cannot keep the light off your IT. Doesn't work like the government. Yes, you can reship a new product that was defect before, but IT, if light is on, that's it. Your history. For example, AT&T, when they offer a new iPhone version 5. And all the POS retail system in the US has to be turned on. If it's down for 1 minute, you are gone. You're going to be losing billions of dollars. So we need to understand that. So Bangladesh is losing because of why? Lack of big presence in the US. We do not have any presence. I spoke with AT&T, I spoke with GE, and everybody. They're talking to Gartner, the research company that provide research to the big companies, saying, where do you move? And the nice thing is the opportunity exists today, as was in 2009 when I went to Gartner seminar with GE. And Gartner was telling GE that you need to diversify your IT operation. You cannot put IT operation in one country, more than 90%. So GE had 90% IT operation in India. So the company strategy, they want to diversify portion of that to other countries. So they were looking for multiple countries, Vietnam, Brazil, Russia, and I took the position that Bangladesh. I compared those 4 countries. I said, look, let's go to Bangladesh. I can do it for you, and we can make it happen. And one of the scenario was that there is no company in Bangladesh. Most of the companies are 10 people, 5 people, 20 people. And to feed somebody like GE or AT&T, you need companies that has 1,000 people. You know, at 500 people, I said, look, I can grow 500 people in 6 months. And then I realized, yeah, there is a difficulties. Bangladesh has some difficulties in terms of HR policies. Most of the employees are under contract for 30 days. In here, it is 2 weeks. I can notice today and get out 2 weeks. Bangladesh, some employer also give them strict binding. They make a contract in bonding that if you leave, your retirement will be gone, and they give 2 months of salary, so employee cannot switch very quickly. And working with big companies like AT&T or GE, those are the companies we need. Today, we're working for projects here and there. There are companies in Bangladesh getting some project from brothers in work, Kuwait brothers, Kuwaitian working in some companies, they're outsourcing, word of mouth, something like very small project is done, then you are out of work, and that's not going to work. You need sustainable long-term project that is going to be year after year maintenance, running the IT operation for a bank, Bank of America, running IT operation for Citibank, running operation for Visa, MasterCard, things like that. So, and Bangladesh local market is okay, but I see some of the companies local, they are all dependent on big government projects. Governments like doing custom automation work for Chicago Ford, doing national ID card for the voter registration. Those are the few companies got the project, those are the companies a little bit of profitable. Other companies are kind of losing money and no big initiative. So, and then there is a lack of thought leadership. The leaders, they really have to understand the dynamics of the global IT, and especially the North American IT corporation, understand their mindset from the corporation perspective, from the supply chain, how they buy, what's their decision-making process, and what are the factors that is important for the selection of a vendor, selection of a country, and then thought leader can come from Bangladesh and speak to the audience and prove that we understand the dynamics, we understand the goals and objectives of your company. It could be a cost-cutting objective, it could be performance improvement, so many varieties of things that corporation makes, considers for any kind of decision of selecting a country for outsourcing. So we need leaders, thought leaders who understand these things so that they can sell it to these corporate clients with the proper value proposition. So that was the reasons why Bangladesh is losing, and what now I'm going to talk about what should we do. I talked about the opportunity. I talked about the problems that we have in our industry, and what should we do. So I thought about it should be a realistic plan, because creating a plan with lots of points in it and not knowing how to execute this plan, it's not going to work. I read the IT policy of Bangladesh, written by Professor Jamilur Raja. He's a very knowledgeable person. He wrote it, but the reality is that there is a lot of flaw, because the plan is very big. There are a lot of things to be done, a lot of improvements needs to be made. But where do you start? Where do you start? Who is your focus? And who is going to be paying for that? That's why a lot of things get stuck in Bangladesh. That you create a massive plan. The IT policy, 600 points. And I read it, some of that. I read it end to end and see, my goodness, each point requires lots of funding, lots of resources to execute that. And it's mind-blowing. You get headache, like, where do you start? Which one? Are you going to put, computers in all the, elementary schools? How are you going to train the teachers? Who's going to train the teachers? Do they have enough experience? All kinds of stuff. And then government has other issues, political issues, economical, social issues. So it gets kind of overlooked. And that's why we're kind of, and that's why I'm saying, like, let's focus on one plan that can be achievable. The plan that Malaysia made. Malaysia made a private plan. They funded a company owned by Malaysian government and a private company, and they created the high-tech park that is in Malaysia, Putrajaya. I went there, I saw that how beautiful the plan is. And after 10 years, in that plan, they have 65,000 people, employees, working for outsourcing US big clients, HP, IBM, all the companies are in Putrajaya in Malaysia. And they have filed 2,500 patents from that MDEC, that high-tech part. 2,500 patents means ideas, new ideas for innovation and IT. So, with my background in IT outsourcing and working with the Bangladesh Software Association, I believe we need a company that's going to sell it in the US, that's going to work with some companies in Bangladesh, collaboration, and making sure that they can deliver those products and services to these clients that we're not saying. So that's a joint venture. I think a joint venture framework we should do. We should take basis as a stakeholder in this joint venture. Basis can take certain companies from Bangladesh that has skill sets in different verticals. It could be telecom, it could be financials, it could be other sectors, energy, whatever, and come up with a company in the US and merge with that, and that could be the beginning. And that companies can be funded by the government. Government can provide some seed capital. Because right now we can say, okay, government cannot put money, and I spoke with some of the government. Government is kind of reluctant because government thinks like, what is the accountability? If I sign this thing, am I going to go to jail next time? Somebody can say, and why did you do this? A lot of this are kind of bureaucracy and the procedure and culture of Bangladesh is nobody is really has the board and integrity that can make the decision saying, I'm doing it because I think it's going to work. Bangladesh, we're spending millions of dollars every day for buying somebody rice, giving somebody this, go give it to the GOM wheat in all the people in the country. Go build this bridge that does not work. So we're spending millions and millions of dollars. It's citizens' money. Why don't you put the citizen money for some investment that's going to grow big time? But the leaders in Bangladesh, they don't have the guts. They don't have the capability. They are like scared, saying, okay, Saiful, if I listen to your plan and sign this off, the next time some other government is going to come in and say, what's your interest? Because everything is go by interest in Bangladesh. Nothing gets by the citizen interest. It gets by personal interest. Everybody talks about this for citizens. I don't think so. Nobody give a damn about 160 million people. They care about their own good. Is my brother-in-law here? I'm going to sign this project. Is my nephew-in-law? This is the nepotism in our community, in the culture. I said, for God's sake, why don't you take a good one initiative that's going to really provide a high-tech industry and make a lot of work for this, not for going to the Middle East, doing this, sweeping the streets, a hard job, but in a high end. And our people in Bangladesh, they're capable. I'm so impressed with their work. I was graduated here from all the way, bachelor's, master's, PhD. But these guys, even with the bachelor's in Bangladesh, I cannot do like that in programming. They're so brilliant. They're so brilliant. And they're working for this pre-pay project that we're doing. It's a very complex product. So the number of companies in the US right now, we're talking, they're so impressed. Companies like Costco, companies like American Express, they have a lot of money and say, look, you guys, it is very complex. It's mapping the location of people, it's geocode, it's map, it's mobile technology, all of that thing. So these guys can do it. We can train other people like that. So we have people, but we don't have process, we don't have initiatives, we don't have the leadership. So my proposal is to set up a joint venture with private companies in Bangladesh and the US, find a partner in the US that has the desire, that has the passion to do for Bangladesh, because this is very important. The partner in the US and the partner in Bangladesh. Both has to be bonding and they need to work together. Like US part will be customer management, and product acquisitions. And the Bangladesh will be delivery and execution. Working this framework, and this company has said, if government provides $10 million seed capital, with that seed capital, $1 million will be invested in Bangladesh to get a 20,000 square feet office space, hire some people resource for get-go, So who can take some of these projects, initiatives that will be sent. And the $9 million will be invested in the US for sales with a 3-year plan, $3 million budget in each year. And that can generate, in my estimate, $100 million worth of business in 2 years. So this is it's a pure math, because in Bangladesh you say I'm going to make $2 billion and you don't spend $2. That's not going to happen. I mean, this is nothing magic here. People's going to come and hand you the job. Because I know exactly, one of the director of T-Mobile is here. He can tell you what thought process their mind goes through and how much it takes time for a business to come and talk to them. It's probably 6 to 9 months, maybe 1 year project, sales cycle, to just convince one director or vice president of a company in a Fortune 500 company. You have to go take him to the dinner, lunch, present them, and they're going to say, okay, you need to talk to my IT team, we have to look at the process. We have to approve your vendorship. We cannot give it to business to anybody. We have to approve, like when I talk to AT&T, I convince him for a project. It's 125 people that will be working for Bangladesh. We were finally done, submitted the plan, then it went to the outsourcing, the supply chain, and they said, wait a minute, Bangladesh is not in our country list of outsourcing. We have India, we have Sri Lanka, we have Nepal, we have Philippines, Chinese, but Bangladesh. I said, okay, make it happen. Maybe it never happened, but it needs to happen now. We can deliver them. I said, okay, it's going to take 6 months. We have to look at the security or your infrastructure of the network, the security protocol. We have to put it in a place, and there will be some validation and the verification, and it's going to take 6 months. And the guy I was working, the VP of application, he said, I cannot wait 6 months cycle. I need to start the project. So they gave it to another company. So we need to understand the sales cycle. So that's why we have to put some money up front to build the sales cycle, have the people in deployed, especially with $10 million. There can be, we can tackle east, west, north, south in US to cover, have some very savvy salespeople who can grab business, and then we can go from there. And so that by doing that, the projects that will go to Bangladesh, that's going to hire people, that's going to train the middle manager people that can manage people, not only doing the coding, but we need in Bangladesh who can manage resources. That's very important, managing resources, managing the quality, managing the timelines, all of that, the delivery, execution, all of that is important. So we lack that, but we can build that up with this funding and the company that will be dedicated to make it happen. So that is, I think, what I think my plan, and I think panel can discuss and we can talk about it.
Thank you for your brilliant presentation, real life experience. That is the key here, right? So we have a very solid experience what we are talking about. So at this time, I will request SK Belal Hassan to talk on these topics. And I'll put the 3 minutes on this. Yeah, that's fine. I know about this. Just a second.
So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Hassan. I'm working for about 13 years now.
Where's your microphone?
I don't know.
Get a microphone, please.
There is no microphone. I was using my microphone. That's how I was speaking loud.
So basically, I just want to introduce myself first.
Louder, please.
Throw your voice.
All right.
Throw your voice.
I have about 60 years of experience now in IT. I've worked in the West for more than 40 years. I have undergrad accounting, master's in computer information systems, and the master's of public administration from Columbia. And so I have these observations on some of my presentations. share with you. If we do a small analysis of the situation in Bangladesh right now, and if we look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, some of the strengths are that Bangladesh offers low cost. The labor cost is about $10 an hour. That is probably the lowest in the world. In India, the cost of labor is $20 an hour, or even higher. In Bangladesh, the strength is that 65% of our population is under the age of 25. Thirdly, within a British colony, English, comes normally to us. It's not that difficult. The other thing is our sources to India. I think that is the negative, but also a lot of positives. And we've been working historically with a lot of Indian companies. Now, regions. Well, I think we have a nascent, really young organization in Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, our legal regulatory frameworks are not perhaps well developed in this area. We have to develop more flexible HR resource rules, as I mentioned. Meaning there should be more fluidity in terms of when people are changing companies or moving back and forth. Thirdly, our other weaknesses, I think we need better connectivity, undersea submarine cable. That's important. The government working on it, but I don't know how far they've gone. And then obviously, lack of proper, sustainable electricity and so on. At the age of threats, I agree with Ahoy in the sense that we have a lot of competition. And we're competing with Accenture, we're competing with Tata Consulting Services, Wipro, Infosys, and others, and Tech Mahindra. Now, I just slightly differ from the standpoint in a particular point of view. That is, I think we should convert those threats into opportunities. And Sanofi has proposed an independent entity to be, a senior company to be floated with the, blessing of the government of Bangladesh, the full force behind it. And it should be a joint venture with a company in the US. My personal thoughts are, why not have a partnership with one of the Indian companies? This way, the government, so it could be maybe a two-way partnership, maybe a three-way partnership. But the Bangladeshi company would be on the forefront. The Indian company, we will collaborate with it because they already have the relationships all built up, and then they can provide us outsourcing. Now, the thing is, Bangladesh has to be the move class in this area, and we really have to take advantage of this. And what we're losing in terms of, what I mentioned, this opportunity cost. There are other companies and Indian companies who've actually shown an interest in Bangladesh. A couple of months ago, I think was Global Bridge, who had proposed investing in Bangladesh. Other big Indian companies will be in Bangladesh. That will happen maybe not now, maybe 6 months time. But the positive thing that we have about Bangladesh is low cost of labor. So maybe not now, but in the next couple of months, I do see a lot of Indian companies moving into Bangladesh. But see, this is what's going to happen if we don't take initiative. A lot of the money that we get capital, when Indian companies move to Bangladesh and start meeting individuals for all these jobs and opportunities, yes, our GDP will go up. But there's not going to be much change to our GDP because much of the money that they make will go back to India. So in order for us to take advantage of that opportunity, we should actually have our own, private sector entrepreneurs, partner with, I think, these Indian companies in an equitable sort of agreement relationship, so that our GDP also, our GNP also stays at the same level. So, this is, so in terms of, a US partner, I think I put it a step further. Maybe a US partner may not be IBM, but one of these, Indian giants that we can, who already have existing relationships, and then the work that they get, we can farm out to Bangladesh. And this is going to happen because we can offer the lowest cost of labor in Bangladesh. And not only Indian companies, but I'm assuming there will be Philippines companies from the Philippines will also come to Bangladesh. And they will be able to try to enter into equitable agreements and relationships with the government.
Thank you. Now I requested Nurul Chaudhary, Chief Technology Officer, to speak on behalf of
Okay, there's a guy from over there.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very interesting presentation. I'd just like to talk a little, just very briefly. I believe I was the first company in Bangladesh to export software. Back in '86, I had a company in England which had a rather large contract with Volvo. And we were developing a system. And they wanted to build the system, but when the initial costs came in, they said, oh, this is too expensive. And at the time I proposed that let me try and build it in Bangladesh. And actually we spent 3 years building this rather sophisticated system. And I think this leads on to the very point that people don't give work to Bangladesh, they give work to companies who they believe can do the job. And so what we need to do is build up an infrastructure in the US where people have the confidence that they don't really care whether it's done in India, Bangladesh, etc. They just want the job done at a cheaper price. And as long as we can do that. So many of these proposals I think are perfect, but the most important thing is that what we need to do is project us as a nation which can do the job. And my own experience is the work we did for Volvo, some of the most sophisticated software actually at Volvo was part of their car design process. And we were able to do that, which means that we have the skills, etc. We just need to project that forward. Thank you.
very good point. I think the key point is, from '86 it started, right? So there are competencies, there are opportunities, right? But where is the leadership? Why is this? Why does not fly, right? One of the points that we need to focus. So let me ask Dr. Pat Shorter, Director, Supply Chain. We work actually in the same company, same place in Seattle, and he has a lot of ideas from India, originally from Calcutta. So I think there's a lot of technology from Indian company point of view. We can hear some of this thought as well.
Would you come in?
Sure.
So I immigrated to the U.S. back in 1981, and at that time the IT outsourcing industry was just a nascent industry. That was the biggest, and there were some companies that were doing some work, but it wasn't as big as it is today. So I had the opportunity to see that industry grow from a very small scale to a very large scale. And the things that the industry went through, we learned lessons from it. And though it's 30 years later, and I do feel that there is still a big window of opportunity. The opportunity has to go. All American corporations are still looking for newer areas to move into. India is becoming too expensive. Malaysia is becoming too expensive. The American corporations are looking for better places to go. And Bangladesh are going to go places. Probably this is the time Bangladesh needs to make a move and establish itself as one of the destinations. So in supply chain, I've been working at many American corporations that started at AIG. I went to a company. I worked for a lot of Fortune 50 companies, and we had a large presence abroad for our IT work. And we were very careful in selecting who we work with, how we tested them, how we make sure that they were accountable. Because after all, it's all about making the most economic So you're not going to get work just because you have a low-cost infrastructure. You have to make the presence felt here in the U.S. You have to be in the face of these companies, their procurement departments, their supply chain, their vendor management, their IT vice presidents, their IT directors. And it's extremely important that there will be a local presence that actually, as others have said, that actually represent Bangladesh in the U.S. Because without that, depending on other partners to do your work of selling your ideas, is probably not the best option. So what I would recommend is that we take this one proposal that the panel has put together and put all our force behind it and get something started, something big started from small steps. I mean, it will go a long way to be very well defined. Thank you.
So I will ask now Maria Takir, CEO and Country Director. So we get fresh meat from Bangladesh.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Takir. Discipline born in Bangladesh. I lived here 20 years. Last 3 years ago, I decided to move in Bangladesh for IT sector because there's lots of lack in Bangladesh you can say leadership. That's why I moved for outsourcing because there's lots of opportunity for people that we need to move forward there to help people to increase, for the IT sector. And last 2 years I was working in the outsourcing and I'm trying to join venture with MIT. Dr. Salman is helping me about this sector and hopefully I'm going to work more to establish our country because without IT sector, a country cannot develop. That's the important thing and that's what I'm trying to do. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so I think we heard the panelists, we heard the key speaker, and now I think I'll turn to all the audience of this seminar. And I think the key message here, we have a lot of potentials, opportunities in Bangladesh. So from 86 still today, but the key point is we are lacking in leadership, we are lacking in investment, and nothing happens so far, right? So there are proposals in place for today, and maybe other proposals as well from escape law as well. So if we have some, suggestions or recommendations or even questions on this presentation, please speak up. Right? I'll go one of them.
Structure that Bangladesh has a lot of good structure, a lot of loopholes. And so in order for this joint venture to move on fast pace, what can be done with VR or by government if we could simplify it and make it better?
So this, the joint venture, it will be a private company and it will get all the benefits that government has already provided, which is tax incentive, tax-free, duty-free import, and other things. And then it can ask for any other infrastructural support that it requires from the government. And the government actually would be a part of this program. They are going to be a partner also. So I think this could be a one-stop solution. And any kind of lacking, let's say, for energy, there is a power outage in Bangladesh. Maybe the government can provide dedicated power for this facility. Maybe the internet, there is a lacking of internet. In terms of the reliability of internet, because a couple of weeks ago I was working and the internet was down for several hours in entire Bangladesh. There was a submarine cable was disconnected or get cut off. So the government can, obviously there is a government initiative create a second submarine cable that is going to come under the Bay of Bengal. That needs to be happened, so the government has to make sure that that happens sooner. And there is an initiative, there is a project in place. It's going to take a couple of years to do that, but that should start today. And that's number one, energy guarantee. Number two, and any kind of HR policy that makes an impede to hiring people at the right time and quickly, they need to really implement new policy for that, HR policies. So things like that. I think government has to be a partner in this, and the private sector, whoever is going to be managing this process, there should be enough experience to understand the private sector and the government sector, how can work with the government sector.
Follow-up question, last question. Are you among the panelists that you suggested that your company, venture company, thinks in terms of incorporating Indian brand company presence here, and this new company has a bunch of, or it's like I said, Bangladesh government versus US entrepreneur?
Yeah, it could be a Bangladesh government, a Bangladesh company and the US company, and then it could be Indian company. There are already a couple of Indian companies that has taken a partnership with Bangladesh. Agria Systems is one of the companies that is already have people resources in Bangladesh with working with other companies, another company. I think it's a company called UI Systems. It's a Square. His nephew, this group is working with this company, but that broke up for some reason. I don't know why. And I was also told by GE to work with Pyramid Consulting. It's a company, Indian company in Atlanta, that can be our partner to work with them. But I wanted to, my personal opinion, it's good, but my personal opinion, I wanted to really build something my own that has greater interest for our own citizens. And I just don't want to see the company is focusing bottom line, but more focused on the creating job and creating more resources. And I think that vested interest could be more for somebody who is from there. And there's nothing wrong with that. It could be good initiative. With Indian companies like Wipro, or I think Tata Consultancy is doing some work in Bangladesh. They have something going on in Bangladesh, working with local companies. But in this, my personal opinion, that get Bangladesh and US hooked up.
You mentioned about your interactions with the Bangladeshi leadership.
Yes.
And you felt that they were really shying away from determined risk-taking. That's one of the fundamental qualities of leadership.
Right.
Determined risk-taking.
Right.
Now, have you thought of any plan that you could present to them which would allay that kind of inhibitions of faith?
Yeah. Actually, I spoke with the finance minister, the commerce minister, Farooq Khan, and the Bangladesh government IT advisor, Shajib Wajid. I invited them and I took them to a seminar that was happened in 2009 in Arizona, in the Border Ridge Resort. There was a seminar of the CIO. CIO is the Chief Information Officer from 200 companies, Fortune 100 companies, the GE, the Boeing, the AT&T, all of them, they were there. And I sponsored the program, and I said, instead of me talking about Bangladesh, I would let rather Bangladesh government talk about the leaders. I brought the FBCCI President Anisul Haq. I brought the Economic Counselor from Washington to that program. It was a major initiative by the Bangladesh government and the industry from Bangladesh. And Shajib talked about that, Farooq Khan talked about that. And after that, I went back to them saying, can you do this? Because the lacking is, we can get this buyer convinced, but we don't have any capability to show them. That is where we're going to fall apart. And what I heard from Anisul Haq, the PCCI president, Farooq Khan was, he said, yeah, it sounds good plan. And let me talk to the FBCCI, the Chamber of Commerce, because if I do it for the government, maybe I need some buy-in so that it can be seen as a good thing, and I'm not going to be responsible by myself. I said, okay, that sounds good. And he talked to Anisul Haq, and I also talked to Anisul Haq saying, can you tell him to make it happen? And I also say, oh, well, man, this is going to be, we may go to jail after this and all that. I said, why do you think like that? Bangladesh is in that we're paying for energy, how much 20,000 crore every year we're spending for energy, kind of, power, things like that, rental energy. Have you thought about this is 10 million, 5 million, but do it 5 million, don't have to do 10 million. But they don't have that. They fear that what's going to happen. If we cannot deliver at the end, the blame is going to come. Maybe Farooq Khan, somebody's going to say, you have it, your interest, and this will have maybe saying he has his interest. It didn't work. So I left out, and I gave him a proposal.
Have you given a proposal to them about how to craft a framework of transparency, accountability?
Yeah, that's what I think from this presentation, I want to now take it forward.
Absolutely.
And first thing I want to do, I want to sell the idea to the industry basis, I'm on the software industry. And get them on board, say, look guys, you know, and I know, we both know this is, nothing is working, and this is the lesson. So let's get this nailed down, and we bring the transparency. None of this, a penny from this is going to go to anybody's pocket. It's going to have to be liability. Whoever is going to be involved, they're going to be solely liable. They have to give their personal liability and say, take this money from the seed and pay back after 5 years. You got to generate the business. If you're going to generate the business, don't take this responsibility. Because every penny is the citizen of Bangladesh, and that needs to go back, that needs to grow. And we want to make sure that happens. Otherwise, don't take it, don't do it. And somebody who's going to be involved, they have to come up with that kind of commitment. And if you give me this 10 million, I'm going to make it 100 million. I'm going to pay you 10 million back. Right?
Good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Working with the investment company like financial industry, IBC, to talk to our US company, other Western company, and company like media, people, businesses, government company, and
Yes.
So they are currently thinking that US, India is a costly country. I think my solution is that we allow international bank. So yes, national bank, you can join bank, talk to them, get some company, talk to the US company like what they are requiring. Like if you want to our profit area to find out this currency, people getting every day losing money because they don't have much, many rules or maybe very problem. So I think that if you develop the industry, private people to some kind of bank, make the pilot program industry like private, I want to do the offering airport.
Yeah, I don't think any company have done the major financial work for US companies here in Bangladesh that I have never. But there are local companies in Bangladesh who are supporting banks work in the Bangladesh. Like there's a company called Leeds Corporation, I don't know if you know. They're number one in banking work in Bangladesh. And other way to overcome the capability like experience, if you don't have the experience, you find a partner who has experience and put that in your resume. So when you find this company, they're going to be able to say, let's say this company is going to start a new company, don't have any experience in financial. Okay, we find a local financial from the US, they're going to be their partner. And use their reference, use their credential to get into this financial company. Say that we have a team. We're teaming up with this X company from New York or from Atlanta, and we have a team in Bangladesh. Together we're going to do the project. We have the resources, we have the plan. They want to see your financial statement, that how much money you have to provide the services you need. So you have to submit the financial statement. And other work we are doing in Bangladesh is the telecommunication. The mobile technologies, very good. Billings in telecommunications were very good. I personally have done work for energy, like reading data from the water meter manufacturing. We built that from Bangladesh for company in Atlanta, in Alabama, Neptune Technologies, that you have water in your house and business. When you use that, the uses for the billing, we did that EasyNet system that's been used in the US. For GE, we did some energy projects. So some experience we can put together, and obviously when we want to bring the partners to the capability, this could be Indian business, could be Chinese partner, could be American partner, whoever fits the experience. So that can be overcome. Well, there is, we know how to overcome it. I'm sure the experience is people, they know how to overcome this. How to build up the experience to show them.
We want to do that.
Okay.
understand how things work in different governments around the world. My question is that, what do you see Bangladesh in 10 years? I mean, despite the constraints that we have from the government and the private sector, what do you see Bangladesh going in 10 years?
I think Bangladesh, because for most IT companies, like Data Consulting or etc., for them, number one thing is bottom line. And what Samsung has tried to say is that Bangladesh entrepreneurs should be on the forefront, and we should really take advantage of the opportunity. Right? What's going to happen in the next couple of years that is happening is that following the bottom line, a lot of these Indian companies will go into Bangladesh. They will pick up the market, they will take opportunity of our labor and our manpower, and then they will start servicing all these contractors and to our labor. So next couple of years, and I'm saying this regardless of which government comes into place, I think businesses look at the bottom line, they will strike an equitable agreement with the government, whichever government. And then I think Bangladesh is at the right time, politically, I think we're also stable and we just have to, keep our eye on the ball and stay on track. Because, some things that I want to jump is, looking for investors, thank God, Bangladesh in terms of, and then we also have a stable bond scheme for the last 14 years. So all the things are fine. We just have to keep going. And as Samsung has said, we should be more aggressive in terms of getting these US companies to come and invest. But what he's saying is, as a proud Bangladesh, Bangladeshi companies should be in the forefront. And if you're not at the forefront, then others will come into the marketplace. Indian companies will come into the marketplace, and they will take advantage.
I'm Mushanara, and I'd like to first congratulate Dr. Khalifar and the wonderful panel. We just were shedding some just wonderful light on this particular subject. And Dr. Khalifar, I really admired your vision because you want to get the job done directly from your distance to Bangladesh, and that is the key. You don't want to do subcontract because that way you'll be losing a lot. If you have the resources, if you can build a team, you might as well work directly. That's just my comment. My question to you, like MI3, I understand MI3 is already doing some work in Bangladesh. Would you please care to elaborate on that? What is the status of that? A, B, where do you want to see it right from now until 10 years? And what are the resources you need for that from private sector as well as the government?
Okay. Thank you very much for asking this question. And can give from my personal experience. So as I said, I was a young engineer in '98 when I went to Bangladesh. 3 guys from Kuwait, they approached me saying, you are in the US, we want to create an IT company. They have taken the gold medal in IT programming competition in Asia in '98 with the team of Dr. Kaikoba from Kuwait. And I was very impressed, and I said, I will invest with you guys. I had some money, I put together the company in Bangladesh and take it to 3 people. That was the start. After 6 years went by, and I could not make any headway. We did some small projects here and there, like other companies. He started in Rurubai, started in '86, and I started in '98. In 2008, I realized that the dream didn't come true. I thought I have taken the basis estimation that by 2006, Bangladesh would make 2 billion. I think, my gosh, I'm in America with experience. Maybe we'll take a quarter of that, and that would be a big company that can support others. 2008, I realized it didn't happen. We did 40 projects from different companies. We did work for US Navy, we did work for Coca-Cola, and subcontracting work here and there. but not a major vendor of any company. So in 2008, I realized that funding is the problem. And I looked at, I studied all the companies from China, India, how they started, what was their transformation. I looked at Tech Mahindra, that from 100 million in 2002, the Mahindra British Telecom, MBT, I went to the MBT office as a part of singular AT&T team, 100 million, and in 5 years they went to 800 million because they raised money, they got a contract with AT&T, they get equity to AT&T. So there are a lot of tactics, a lot of strategies they follow, and the key is the funding. I sold about $500,000. I sold about 700,000 eyes with small 50,000 projects, 100,000 projects, 20,000 projects. But there was no multi-million-dollar project sustainable. So 2009, finally I was able to convince GE, and I took GE as a major partner, as a master service provider. And GE told me, Saiful, MI3 is going to be one of the 11 top vendors that GE has that manages 20,000 GE IT resources. Out of that, 14,000 in India are 8 Indian companies, Infosys, Patni, Satcom, all those companies. So I said, that's good. I went to Bangladesh, I told Marfia in Bangladesh that you manage the office. We set up an office in Gulshan. We hired 20, 30 people, and GE was impressed. GE said, Saiful, he came back, GE gave us the contract. I put together a seminar in Bangladesh, in Sheraton Hotel with IT Minister, Professor Jamil Chaudhary, all the key people. And I let them speak to GE. And GE, this is like not GE manager director. It is the highest IT operation, the head of India operation through GE, and then America, the IT outsourcing head. And they went, and then the CIO office also endorsed it. So we did that. 2009, when I started, I did 2 projects for GE. Then I realized there's a lack of resources, a problem. We cannot scale it that fast because we don't have money behind us like other companies. They have millions of dollars behind them, and we cannot expect our facilities like fast the way GE can expecting. And I'm the president of the company, and GE one day asked, like, you're the president, how come you're managing all the meeting? I said, look, this is the first contract, so I want to make sure that we do it properly. So they found out some of the, we are lacking in these things. So, and then I raised some money to for MI3. I raised my first round of money that I needed for MI3 from the private capital. And then I said, then the mobile innovation idea, FreeBPay came in. And so I thought, should I focus on this FreeBPay or be focusing on GE, which may take 5 years, and I don't know the future. GE may say one day, we're canceling your contract. And that can happen. So I said, FreeBPay is a mobile technology. It is an innovation. It is in our control. And I see the team that we have, 20 to 30 people, they're very good at software. And I have a lot of experience from the wireless industry. So we put together this program, FreeBPay, and now I think FreeBPay succeed, then FreeBPay can be more common thing. And FreeBPay, I go right now, the FreeBPay is moving. We get capital coming from FreeBPay, and then we'll invest in MI3 for the outsourcing division, which is Marfia Technologies, is one of our companies in Bangladesh that we invested. We're also investing in another company that is going to be a search engine and social networking like Facebook and Google combined. There is actually 3 guys in Bangladesh working with another 25 freelancers. They have put together this program, and I heard of it. It's fascinating. These guys are saying, we're building this application that's going to support 150 years future generation. And I said, my God, that's great ambition. You can do it. And he showed me the demo, these 3 guys from Bangladesh. And I said, I'm investing because this is fascinating. So that is another project right now MI3 is running. That's just 3 people right now full time. And we're going to have to get another 15 people. And this project is called GoToNeed.com. That's basically for a word. GoToNeed. GoToNeed.com. That's going to be a future social, Facebook social media and a search engine for worldwide. Our target is to get 2 billion customers GoToNeed in some point. It's a 5 years development plan. We're going to be launching the first beta next year. And then 2017 is going to be worldwide full blown because it has hundreds of modules of frames, searching, and it's going to drill down. It's a mind blowing. And I was very, very impressed with these guys that come up with this plan. So that's our MI3 initiative. And locally, we're also thinking about Mafia Technologies can focus on government projects in Bangladesh. We're looking to bid for customs project in general port automation. And the innovation is my focus to go in the Silicon Valley kind of American capital. I want to get MI3 going as a venture capital. At some point that we can fund more business in Bangladesh, startup and commercialize those in the US, and we create our own wealth that can be invested in Bangladesh.
Just another comment. Just a short comment. I think the knowledge base is lacking. That's the problem. There's a lot of money, but these people have loaded with money.
Yeah.
They don't know where to invest. But the knowledge base and the right approach.
Yeah, Bangladesh, I spoke with most of the investors. The problem is because they can invest if I go and say I'm going to build a garments industry. I want to put a spin mill. My friend said his father just invested 200 million in spin mill. I said, I spoke with top businessmen in Bangladesh, they would not give me $1 million. Yeah, because they don't know IT. So I said, look, you're going to regret. And I'm going to show you that FreePay is a several billion dollar product. You just don't see it right now. You think, I'm going to build you a 5-star hotel, you're going to give me money. I'm going to build you a spin mill, you can put the money. And that's the traditional mindset. They're not seeing the IT, but I'm sure once they see that, I think one or two examples, and then all the business people say, I'm going to put your money. Because that's what the breakthrough, that is the inertia, that is what I'm trying to break that through. Once we break that through, these people get the test of this IT, then they can pour money, and then we become Silicon Valley in Bangladesh.
Thank you. So,
my name is Jyoti. Thank you for being here today. I would like to offer my thanks to Khan, please, moderator today, all the panelists. My question is to Mr. Kambekar. Your presentation was wonderful. Enjoying everybody's presentation was great. On behalf of ABC, I'd like to thank all of you. My question is that this generation, our technology generations here, how we can include, they have less interest about Bangladesh. Children over here growing, they are very smart kids, they are doing very well in IT and all these sectors, but they have less interest about Bangladesh because of they don't understand Bangladesh technology and everything. So Dr. Yunus is a very successful man in Grameen Bank and Grameen Home, and other guys also doing very well. How you can have that impression through your talents, all of you? You can gather a big convention and to make them understand, like Indians, they spend a lot of money for promotionals, like research and others, because they have fun. We don't have enough fun. If you ask for Bangladesh, there are a lot of politics, this and that, you may not get it because of bureaucracy and other things. Over here, we understand how they grow, like Google, like Ahmed, not Ahmed, what is his name, Khan Mans and other guys. Yeah, other guys are doing very well individually. Collectively, for Bangladesh, Silicon Valley, you say we can do in Bangladesh. What environment we can create? You guys, we cannot, we don't understand. Our generation don't understand the technology, but new generation they do, like you, like others. What we can, you people can contribute and make a big business for Bangladesh, because our politicians don't understand business. They are not business people. Government cannot do the business. That's why every sector they fail. But private sector, like our government, our tech, they are doing well. What you people can give us that we can work like ABC or other convention and promote this through American fund or other international funds. You have lots of fun, but you don't understand this business. Like the first time when somebody told me about software, I didn't inquire in software. Now I realize what is software. So I would like to know about the panel.
Yeah.
Anybody, you can say something about it.
Yeah, that's absolutely important to collaborate, bring the young generation. And I think that's what we have to come forward. I think ABC is doing a great job at putting together. I think this is the first seminar because I've been going through, last 10, for one seminar I present, some of the seminar I had to really stop the presentation because I was the only one guy.
Now people are coming, right?
Yeah. I'm sure this one day there will be hundreds of people because when they will see that, hey, this is getting better. People are actually not talking something, just talk the talk. It's because most of the seminars, it's like waste of time, because we talk about the same problem. You can talk about the problem all day, but that's not going to work. We talk about the solution. So I think the foundation, I think that's what we are working. I don't know how much our group can do, but we are actually creating a framework for a lot of people to work together. So right now, Hanif is here, Mr. Hanif, right here. He's one of our collaborators, and there are people in Seattle. Mr. Shah is here, she's from Bangladesh. Now we are building a framework under MI3. From Seattle, there are so many Bangladeshi entrepreneurs. They're now saying that maybe in a platform of MI3, if we can work underneath, then we can all get beneficial. That's why I created this. This is not my company. I didn't want to be a rich. My family does not want it. My wife, that's not her vision. She's a physician, but she really doesn't want. But my heart, when my father went to war, my mother did not know in 1971. 3 months he went out of this, because that's what I think there is a calling for me to give back something for these people in Bangladesh. That is, I think we all should think about. It's really break my heart when I go to Patna and see people at my age, 42, they're drinking fentanyl. They went to college, they have Patna College and Rajshahi Old Government College where I went. These guys are doing because lack of opportunity. And people, we are here, we are fortunate that we have education, we're working for all world-class companies, we have the experience. How can we take this back? That's why it cannot be done by one person. It has to be group, and we have taken the initiative to collectively bring the framework network so that I really, you talking the right thing, we want to do that in the future. Because that's what other countries are doing. That's why I went to Malaysia for the World Islamic Forum. It's a great platform that brings all the Muslims. There was a youth Muslim from all over the world came in to talk about that. So I think Bangladesh youth can come together. They're the one actually. I cannot run like anymore. I'm running my engine. And pretty soon I have to be in medication, right? So I need some other people that have a lot of energy. So we're recruiting those kind of young folks in our company that has a lot of desire to work. First thing we want to hire Bangladeshi, that are you motivated by money or you want to do some good work for our people in the city? That's number one question. Otherwise we don't hire. We're hiring a lot of people. We don't hire people that is just for money. Because our company is going to be creating a lot of wealth, and most of the wealth will be reinvested and given back to the people of Bangladesh. They need that.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
If we have any, I can take one question more, please. Okay, please.
Yeah, I think that's why we talked about the whole presentation. And I gave a speech in Bangladesh many times. The connectivity that, the small business are growing in Bangladesh without knowing where the business is going to go after 2 years, 5 years. A lot of things, fall apart because lack of capital, lack of clients, customer projects, So I think one plan that we have is to create an incubation in Bangladesh where startup companies can come under a bigger company platform, incubate with us, and we utilize their talent to come up with products that we can commercialize from the world. So some of the initiatives we're going to take, and that's why I'm also working with the US Bangladesh Technology Association. I think that association can do some things for small business in Bangladesh. But there is a lot of education that needs to be done. I just, well, the same, created a company without any business plan. And, it took me 14 years to figure out that not working, and you need to have a lot of understanding of business before you create a business. So I think there are two, before you finish, I just want to announce there will be two seminars next. Pani aggression, Mati Anchole, Shapla Rune, and Doyle Corporate America, Bangko Kurun, Method, or something like that. And those are the two seminars that are following this. Thank you for all.